I'm starting to think that the world's gone mad. I mean, the nonsense that we put up with. And then on to the next scandal like nothing happened. When are we going to grow up and hold people accountable for their actions? I think what frustrates me even more is the fact that we are so willing to discuss the rot in our society, and then we get overwhelmed by the next scandal and left perplexed, broken, and dejected. It's time, my people. It's time to stand up and let our voices be heard, because as you can see, they really don't care about us. I spoke to financial activist Henning Melber, who is currently based in Germany and has been keeping a keen eye on developments back home here in Nam.
Unfortunately, the alarm bells ring more often in recent times than they happened to do so before. Maybe because investigative journalism is more alert, that we learn more about shady deals than we learned before. Maybe the dire economic situation makes us more aware of what is going on and makes us even more critical and embarrassed and upset over shady deals, where many of the political office bearers seem to misunderstand their public duties as pocketing into their private gains, which is very unfortunate. And we had only last week this case with Toby Aupindi, who is a member of the highest ranking bodies in the governing party, who was convicted by a charge of corruption, and where the Secretary General of the party felt that it was unfair and that this is actually not a case big enough to merit any political consequences. And as I said earlier to another journalist, it's a bit like saying you are either pregnant or not pregnant. That means you are either corrupt or not corrupt, but you can't be a little bit pregnant. So what does she mean with being a little bit corrupt? Not corrupt enough to be punished? I think that's a very serious indication about the moral decay we are witnessing today. And the other most spectacular case, of course, which is much debated in the public now, understandably so, is the land deal with this Russian oligarch, Zardarov, where the government says, and that was the latest I followed this morning, where the government says, well, that decision was not prohibited by law. Now, that is a very funny definition of good governance, because it means as long as something is not explicitly prohibited, you can do it. I think they are losing sight of moral, ethical criteria and fundamental principles when it comes to good governance, understood as serve the public interest in the sense of serving the ordinary people. And I think this is something our government over decades now has completely lost sight of. We are still in this mode, you owe us because we liberated you. I'm sorry, that's not the oath political office bearers are taking. They are taking an oath to serve the best interest of the state, meaning also the best interest of the ordinary citizens. And there was a third occasion where I thought it's a very worrying indicator. It was more on an anecdotal basis, but you might remember that a couple of weeks ago, an honorable minister, while sitting in parliament, was visiting a dating site. And when the journalists, in fulfillment of their duties, critically reported about that, the Speaker of Parliament did not reprimand the Member of Parliament, but reprimanded the media and the journalists as if they are poking their nose into a matter which should be none of their business. Well, this is exactly the business investigative journalism should take care of.
I asked him what we as citizens can actually do about this state of affairs.
Speaking out, not be intimidated, dismiss those ridiculous claims that we owe them. There is nothing we owe them. They are elected by the ordinary people to act in the interest of the ordinary people. And if government and the governing party don't do so, they need to be punished.
I have long lamented the plundering of Africa's natural resources, and I don't mean just you and I. The colonizers knew the value of these resources. That's why many are still out here, and yet we just don't learn. Our fish, our diamonds, our mines benefit mostly non-Namibians, and the timber in our Zambezi and Capivi regions is no better off. The things we be doing for money. I sent numerous emails to the Director of Forestry, Joseph Hailwa, since last year, and this week I finally got an audience with him and asked him some pertinent questions about just what it is his ministry is doing about reports of loads and loads of trucks transporting age-old rosewood through the country, and how this is regulated.
It is not necessary to say that every timber we see is actually a stolen one. What happened is that in Kavango, for example, there are some areas that is in communal area at large, but they are given to some individuals. It's a leasehold by legally or given so, and therefore we do make a provision of having a management plan of each of those areas. And in that management plan, we indicate the quantity of wood found there, and then those resources now we say out of this quantity, we may allowable cut how much or how many logs or trees you may cut and how many you may leave. So if we count that and we are satisfied that yes, this number of trees can be taken and this one can be left out, so we allow that operation to take place. But what we give now is a permit, and what the cost in many cases you are seeing as a public is a permit cost, the actual paper, but not necessarily that we are selling those timber. The timber is sold by the farm owner, and then is the farm owner now who is agreeing on the price with whoever is a buyer. And in many cases we are being accused that we are giving permits to non-Namibians or foreign nationals, but it's not always the case. There are few cases where we are really having a person say that this person is from South Africa or this person is a Chinese or whatever. But in many cases, the permits are applied for by the Namibian people.
I asked the Director of Forestry, Joseph Hailwa, just how much of an effort is being made to preserve our forests and who is in charge of policing how they are maintained.
The team is there, the officials are there, or almost in each and every region. There are some regions we have 2 or 3 offices. If we take the area like Kavango East, we have about 3 to 4 offices, yeah, for the one region, which is Nrundu, Ndiona, Mukwele, and actually at the river there. So we have about 5 offices in the Kavango East, and all those offices, there's 1 or 2 officers responsible for law enforcement. So we do have officials there, but by saying this, I'm not necessarily saying that everything is perfect. That number is enough. The room for getting more people is better, is needed and is there. That can actually improve the situation. And there are times maybe we may not have enough equipments or vehicles to run on time, but in many cases we are able to meet our obligations.
Still on the Rosewood, the Director of Forestry agrees that more can be done to preserve our forest. And I asked him just how many forests have been promulgated as state forests since independence.
We have proclaimed more than 30 community forests in the whole country, which is actually gazetted as a community forest. Community forest is one of the classified forests to be managed systematically and to be utilized at the same time, not necessarily to prevent it from doing that. There are areas that are actually regarded as a state forest, like in Zambezi there, based on the arrangement of the administration of Southwest Africa. Then there was a declaration of a given area as a previous state forest, and the management plan for that area is already prepared as early as 1968 or so. So we have been applying the rules and regulations according to that provision, and I don't know, the room for improvement is there, but we have been doing what we could do, and at the same time other land uses are also there, and the other institutions that are responsible for land on which the forest is growing, they're also coming in, and we have to work together. Like Minister of Lands, it has to work together with us so that we make sure that there are some areas set aside for conservation of the forest.
The Director of Forestry, Joseph Hailwa, encouraged people to come forward and report incidents of what appears to be the plundering of our forests.
It does not mean that the whole situation is hopeless. Our officials are there, and they are ready to assist, especially if they are given a specific information. Because when we are asked for general information, we give the general information. But if you raise specific that this person at this particular site is doing this, then we are always running, and then we come and address those problems. We ask the public not to stop informing us. There might be some days or cases you may informing us, but we may not come on time as you may wish. But whenever we can, we are always ready to join you, and you can always call. We want you to call and specifically tell where the problem is, and because if you just say no, people in Namibia they are destroying forests without any permit. Namibia is quite huge, but if you have a specific site, we are going to go there and talk with the suspected people.
The community of Namibians have been living with the rancid, foul stench of human excrement for years now. And whilst they've brought this to the attention of the local councillors and the city of Windhoek, no lasting solution has been found. I gagged, I choked, and damn near projectile vomited just being in the area for a little while. And yet this community has to live like this in an independent Namibia. Nah, man.
It's going on for years now. I grew up here. I was small, maybe around about, say 7 years old. It's always giving us problems. When it rains, the water comes. Then the riverbed that comes down opens up the sewage drains, and then it affects the whole drains at the houses. So most of the time we sit here at our car wash. We can't even bring visitors here to come relax and have a barbecue or sell meat or anything because of this dump we have there.
This sewage system is last year, in the beginning of the year, they tried to feed their pipes here so that the water must run under. I don't know what happened. This is not very good. It's very disgusting. What I'm saying, even the municipality of Windhoek, we tried to call them. The councillor Kanji is from this area. He knows about it. He also informed us. He take this thing further. All that they are doing is they just coming. If they think it overflowed of that, they just put that powder for the smell and that.
Dit stink. Dis eintlik my ondervinding met die rivier hierdie kant. Vandat ek kan onthou, vandat ek in hierdie lokasie kom begin bly het, stink dit elke liewe dag. Daar is nie 'n dag wat die rivier nie loop nie. En dit raak so erg dat die mens nie eens kan water drink of kos eet nie, want dit stink vreeslik. Soos nou hierdie tyd is dit alright. Hierdie tyd stink dit nie, dit gee vir ons tye wat jy bietjie kan asemhaal, en dan is daar die tyd wat dit die meeste stink. En dit affekteer ons lewens. Daar's tye wat jy nie eens wil toilet toe gaan nie, of nie wil eet nie. Ek het hierdie besigheidjie wat ek hier so ran. Daar's tye wat ek oggendtye soms maak ek nie oop nie, want dit is so erg.
My room is on the other side. At night time, you could my windows open, I'm sleeping. This smell comes through the whole house. While you're busy eating, you have that smell. It's unhealthy.
It's not even healthy for everyone here. Even this area is sometimes it's very busy area. Even with the river, people are crossing this river to go to Womanbroek or doing shoppings. Some of them they are falling in there. It's not healthy. Even we found a small baby. While they are trying to cross, they fall in. One of these guys, they helped them out.
There was in a deep hole. They were filling up pipes here, pipes that burst. It was very deep. There was a boy who almost drowned. I went inside and I jumped into the water and I took him out. I'm the one who read him. But I don't know whose kid it was, because by that time I was covered in.
Dit is baie ongesond vir kindertjies wat soms gaan speel. As kindertjies wat in die water gaan speel. En dit is baie ongesond. Ek voel hulle kan sere kry. Daar is seker ook goggas wat vir hulle kan byt.
People are complaining here about the flu, about their throat swelling, they are complaining about the headaches, and it's not healthy. It's not a good thing here.
The people had meetings so far. Municipality, they came. All they do is when they come with their trucks. They can pour that is it chloride or the white thing, just for us for that time being. Then it dries up, and then afterwards again, it still flows.
I have never smelled anything so foul. And I asked the councillor Ambrosius Kanji what he plans to do about this.
The issue of the running of the waters, especially around that area that you are referring to, has been a complaint for the last some few years now. And it's very unhygienic. The smell is not good. There's a flow of the mosquitoes on the ground. It's true, the community came to my office, not the first time that they're coming about it. They have been there. I definitely have forwarded this complaint to the city of Windhoek, because they are the ones responsible for the resources, for the service of the community. They came to put some anti-mosquitoes, a number of things, just to make sure that they are killing the water, but the flow of the water does not necessarily start just right from there where our community is staying. It's actually a long process because it needs to be pushed down. It needs to be pushed down, and I think the flow of the water does not allow it to flow. And when the rain stops, because we are not getting good rain nowadays, it actually remains standing, which is quite a very technical problem. It's not in one-day things, but the city of Windhoek at the highest level, they are definitely aware in terms of the health department, the mayor, and numbers of them. They are definitely aware about the problem. It's not something that we need to hide. It's a challenge that is facing us right just in front of my office. It's not something that is happening somewhere, somehow, somewhere else. So yes, we are aware, and we are also aware about the health hazard and even the uncomfort smell that is coming from there. It's really a great concern, and people are not happy. But we are definitely really looking at it. We have tried to address also the regional council in terms of seeing how best can they also come in on board. But as you know that our council, we don't have what we call any budget allocated to constituencies. We only run an operational budget where we look after salaries and some fuel and some other operational stuff. So it's a concern, and I'm 100% aware about it. And we are really trying our best to see how we can resolve this problem permanently. But the running of waters around the rivers in Katutura, probably because of the stroke of going to the dam, it's really a challenge.
I also spoke to the City of Windhoek's Harold Akwenye about how the city is planning to resolve this unacceptable state of affairs. And racism is alive and well. I was just shocked dead when I saw this Times Live story about a Pick and Pay retailer that decided to sell these mugs in their shop. Our resident voice of the people, Cecilia, shared her sentiments on this in Cecilia Says Up Next.
Don't understand why do people treat their domestic workers and their gardener different. Because when a person is working in your house, if you come from work, you don't find her sitting like this. You found that person running your house, all over cleaning your house. Why should you treat him like it's a very different person? Because that person is cleaning your own mess in your house, and she have to drink in a separate cup. But why do you do that? Because to me, it's very unfair when you don't trust your domestic work, but she's doing everything in your house, from your kitchen, from your bedroom, from your toilet. It's one person who's doing that. But now you are telling me that you have to make a special cup for your domestic work because you cannot drink in your different cups in your carpet, but she's the one who's washing that whole cups in that carpet. Is it you? I don't think so.
And now it's time for Crime Watch with Sheriff Shaun Naudé.
As a parent, a dad who raises a child, I'm starting to become very concerned for the safety of our children. What is happening in Namibia? We have children that are being kidnapped. We have children that are being abducted. We have children that are being cut up into pieces. And the latest, we have children that are being raped, viciously attacked. What is going on in Namibia? Don't you know that it is written that it is better to take a milestone and wrap it around your neck with a rope and throw yourself in the deepest ocean than to harm or mislead our children? Our children are precious. Every child in Namibia is a child of the nation. There's an African proverb that says, a child belongs to the nation, not only to the parents. And that's why the state is actually in charge and in control and authority over our children until they become of age, is because we need to protect them. People, how do you just hire somebody to look after your children that you don't have references for? You need to know where they come from, who they've worked for before. Keep a copy of their ID, the next of kin, where the next person that lives next to them's details. We deal with missing persons, and the main thing is children. We have children that end up at the Vanaheda police station or at the Katatura police station. They don't know where their parents are. They don't know, they're just missing. How can this be possible? Are we looking after our children? And one more thing that I've just heard recently that has been all over social media is these tobaccos and stuff that are getting mixed. The children are smoking it and they're going out of their minds. Why are these things happening? It is your responsibility as parent not only to educate your children, teach them about the dangers, but to make sure that when they've been taken care of, they're in the best care possible. Be wise, people, and save your children's lives.
Well, I'm sure that's plenty to chew on. Thank you for watching, and stay woke with It's a Wrap on Facebook and the IG, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Wakanda forever.